Diablo Immortal, a free-to-play ARPG experience on your phone, if you have one. New to the series and having a couple of months played, I can see the road where the game and the series is going. To hell. But that would be harsh without explaining what a train wreck it really is. If you're short on time, let me give you an analogy. Diablo Immortal is like a bakery that gives a free sample. It's a bit bland and dry, but it's free. Most will leave once they finish it, but for those who want more, Diablo Immortal will give their menu. There's just one item on that menu though. Plate licking. For $25 a lick. Maybe if you spend over 1,000, you'll get enough scraps to taste a second serving of what you got for free. It might seem outrageous, but when your first lick is 800% value and might have been ordered during your free sample, how can you not go down this road, right? You already invested your time and money to get a satisfying experience after all. Leaving the analogy, what I'm trying to say, the game is split into two parts. One, which I finish in a week's time and is generally an okay experience. The other is a major cash grab which completely undermines the former as it tries to hook you in during that period.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
The game begins with you picking your class. While there is an option to change classes later in the game, you'll experience the majority of the story in the one you pick, so pick wisely. The selection is 6 classes: Barbarian, Crusader, Monk, your melee classes, Demon Hunter, Wizard, Standard Range, and Necromancer, which deals with enemy corpses as resources in battle. There is no major worst class, so picking to your taste makes the pastry of a game go down easier. After selecting your class, you should decide which gender you want to play, as there won't be an option to change later. Same with customization of your character's face. Really, facial customization is used more of a gimmick than actual expression in Diablo Immortal, so I'd suggest not to even fiddle with it. For 2 things. 1, the camera is above your player character so you won't see any of your hard work, and 2, the character's portrait associated with the template of your customization is going to be seen more. Always at the top right of the screen and in dialogue. I started seeing my character as that, rather than what I created. Then we get a short cutscene arriving to our tutorial island. Learn how to move, how to attack, use abilities, slot in skills. This short section of the game is the best part, as the enemies are purposely made to your level, and more importantly, there's no in-game shop prompts. It won't last long though. We continue blasting. Big Bad boogity boogity boos us, and we meet Deckard Cain, the only character name I can remember from this mobile experience. He informs us of the dangers ahead, and we continue blasting, and tutorial done. For the most part, the narrative will continue being told in a similar manner. Diablo Immortal's story is simple. Demons want a MacGuffin so they could have an easier access to the mortal world. There are multiple of these red shards. You travel through multiple environments to get generally one per location. Travel back to the hub town, rinse and repeat. Go to hell, beat the big bad, get teased by an even bigger bad. There's more detailed criticisms I can give in the way the story is presented. 1. The time we spend in a chapter is too short to have any emotional attachments to the characters, yet our avatar does convey an emotional bond which just isn't there for the player. 2. The overworld enemies attacking you pulls you out of the story being told multiple times from the same dialogue, with different enemies aggroing. If you're on the brink of starting to skip dialogue, this certainly would annoy you to do so. 3. Half of the characters are too open-ended in their execution. This is majorly for the sake of using them later again, in a story chapter that currently isn't there. But from the main story perspective, this isn't satisfying. For example, the female necromancer boss apparently running away because she left no corpse, explained in a dialogue with someone who wasn't even present in the final battle. And 4. Level gating. At around level 32, you'll start to experience the story being gated by a level requirement, which you'll need to do side activities to progress. The gating of progress isn't bad in itself, but why have a strict level requirement rather than enemies be stronger? So those who want to have a harder time can continue progressing through the story, while those who want a simpler time can grind. This is a major point in where people have quit the game. And honestly, good for them. So, what side activities are there? Well, you can go do previous story dungeons and progress through the battle pass, which is too ingrained into leveling to not be mentioned. Every time you level up the battle pass, you get XP to your actual levels, and a minor reward. Or a major reward if you pay. There's trying to complete the bestiary. Sometimes enemies drop bestiary fragments, collect 10 and get a random entry. You might get legendary equipment, though it's more entertaining to see where the bestiary's book visual bug will happen. There's the bounty board, which is generic MMO missions of kill X amount of enemies, collect Y amount of resources, etc. the most boring ass shit you can do, or so you might think, as there's Elder Rifts, randomized enemies with a randomized final boss. If you care, you get to fight bosses you haven't even seen in the story yet. Get purposely spoiled, I guess. The gameplay of these modes is to beat enemies quicker than the timer. Elder Rift is poorly disguised gacha machine where you'll input your real money for a shit reward or get nothing. Do enough of these activities and you can go back to the story. Until the next level gate, that is. The only thing left to talk about, gameplay-wise, during the story is the equipment. Throughout the game, enemies will drop white, blue, yellow, and sometimes legendary tier equipment, the latter being higher in stats. Once you get a higher tier, there is no purpose to even equip lower ones. Once your character is fully decked in legendary armor, all other rarities are just clutter that you have to pick up to scrap for the sake of upgrading. Instead of being converted into resources instantly for some reason, you have to have an inventory limit for the scrap to be. Even then, upgrading your equipment gives you minuscule stat increases, not exactly game changers. There's very little to consider. If green arrow shows you have better equipment, equip it. No thought required. Might as well be automatic, but it isn't. Legendary equipment comes with skill bonuses. It's the only game aspect that could honestly make you play past the story without any sense of monetary grubbiness, as collecting all legendary pieces of your class won't be achieved so quickly. And while it might seem it could bring complexity to the game, you can just inherit the skill bonus to whatever stat stick you'll find later. Then there's the legendary gems, the premium upgrades to your character. You have 6 slots available to slot them in. There's just enough resources to have use up all 6 slots at the tail end of the story with low rarities. And that's the bland and dry Diablo Immortal experience. Now on to the plate licking that ruins it all.
I'm sure that you tried your best, but I fear that even your strength and will may not be enough.
Monetization is a big enough topic that it can be an entire video on its own, but I'll mention a few issues that will show how bad it is. First, the most advised item to only buy in this game, the Battle Pass. But I don't see why you would support such shitty reward design. I've mentioned the Battle Pass as a leveling tool, but anyone who's familiar with them knows there's a secondary layer of rewards you can get by paying. It's only $5, so what's the issue? For one, you finish the main story faster than you can get all the rewards from your first Battle Pass, meaning you'll be stuck grinding after all the content that's worth experiencing if you want to get your money's worth. 2, it's divided into a paid $5 version and a collector's $15 version. The collector's version has only 2 customization items that could have been in the $5 one, as there's 2 emote items for some reason that feel like they don't belong on a battle pass, not only because they're out of place, but also because they don't work properly. Preying on OCD and FOMO to get a collector's version, and as the battle passes last for 30 days each, whatever you don't get you lose forever, even if you paid for these pixel resources. 3, the major reward items, skins, are locked per account, per class. Meaning, if you change classes, you don't get their equivalent skins. Neither do you get them on an alternative account, even if it's the same class. This isn't so you would need to buy the same battle pass twice, you literally can't buy it twice. You just don't get the skins. For some reason, the emotes are also locked per account, as if they were slapped in to replace the collector's items. And the other monetization I'll mention is legendary crests. These crests are used in the Elder Rift to get legendary gems. The entire system is a shit show. There are 1-star, 2-star, and 5-star gems. The 5-star gems are further divided into 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, and 5 out of 5-star gems. The difference is only in numerical power when it comes to the highest rarity gems. So, where's the issue? It takes about $25 to roll for 10 gems in this not-so-hidden gacha slot machine. The chances, though, of you getting a 5 out of 5 star is a small 1 out of 2,000 though. But that's not all. These gems can be upgraded, but need gem power, which can only be gotten from scrapping other gems, and you'll also need extra copies of the same gem. So even if you got lucky earlier, you can't upgrade it fully without spending more money. But wait, there's more! There's a resource we always forget when playing games. Time. I'd say even quick runs of 2 minutes of an Elder Rift would add up to 6 hours and 40 minutes for a 63% chance of a 5 out of 5 star gem. If this is made for oil barons, do they have that much time to play mobile games? I don't think so. I can't even say if I have that much time. Even if you're willing to spend literal thousands of dollars for non-wifeable gems, you'll need to grind the same boring content for multiple days for no pity guarantee. Okay, you could sell it to another player through the market, but the exchange prices to buy one is already outside the possibility for a free-to-play player, so even if you're really unreasonably lucky to get one, you are participating in someone else paying money to Blizzard to get your gem. If that fact doesn't elucidate how bad it is, it's like joining your local cult merchant in their pyramid scheme. If they don't get your money, they'll monetize your luck. It wouldn't be such a big problem if not free-to-plays getting low amounts of legendary crests a month, but the problem is compounded furthermore by endgame content being repetitive and not worthwhile. Once you finish the story and are max level 60, you start gaining paragon levels. These levels mean very little. You get a point to allocate to a skill tree per level. These skill trees don't have any nuance as it might appear. There are two types of skills, completely passive statistical and activated passives. Only one skill tree can have the activated ones active, and since you can respec points, just focusing on one tree is enough. The other purpose of paragon levels is to have hell difficulties, where the enemies get spongier and deal more damage as you progress, though that can only be felt when getting to the point of changing hell levels, as the drops you get instantly make you deal the same amount of damage again. All hell difficulty does is separate the server player base into even smaller segments. Also, it's required to have another player with you in dungeons in these difficulties for some reason. Why? If no one is present but me, but I can't grind content on my own, you're just making me waste time waiting. The other content is raids, where you need to assemble a group of 8 players together for a boss battle. These bosses are segmented as well into 3 difficulties, which makes assembling take that much longer. Honestly, even with one difficulty, I've seen enough players wanting to battle but being in different party searches. And it's not surprising, as you can't check other groups being assembled when you're waiting in one. The battles themselves are either a shit show not worth doing with randoms, or completely easy even when the rock acid doesn't load. The main feature of Endgame has got to be the cycle of strife, a two-sided battle between two factions, one comprising of the top 3 best clans in the server and the other being everyone else. The idea behind an asymmetrical faction system is the only interest it holds for me. There are activities that are unique to each faction, and since the tippity-top clans can only be tippity-toppled by the scrub faction's top, the chances of you being a part of that are minimal, so you'll mostly get to experience one side of it. The activities of the scrub faction include DPS check battles with no healing, clan PvP where the one with the most participants will win, and stealing from the tip-top clan's vault, where there's a PvP aspect if you get caught by security or go for the final floor. As there's a weekly limit of stolen loot you can attempt, it's not worth the risk to go against powered players. As such, the most fun part of the faction, PvP against the top clans, is encouraged to be ignored. The reason why it's called a cycle of strife is because once the top clan is beaten, everyone's progress in PvP and their faction activity gets reset and you have to start again. As it might happen any week and no progress is held, there is no incentive to continue after you experience a cycle once. Diablo Immortal has also events, but just like the alcoholic loser that Raid Shadow Legends is, these events are do X thing you do on the daily and get rewarded a bit more than before. I would now list how this game can improve, but I won't, as it would require me to name issues I haven't mentioned. Why would I hope for minor changes when the bigger problems are too ingrained into the design of the game? Diablo Immortal is a financial success for Activision Blizzard, I cannot deny that. So it might seem like my little outcry for how bad the game is not going to change the landscape, but there is one fact that such monetization leads to, something I wouldn't be surprised companies today forgot that's important to avoid in business: customer dissatisfaction. And while those still playing have no regrets as of yet, can they stomach Diablo 4 being the same monetized bullshit, where they haven't sunk cost anything yet? Truthfully, even as I typed this script, I cannot deny the effects monetization of this game had in my negative perception of it. Unlike Raid Shadow Legends, there was a glint of a good mobile game in Diablo Immortal that could have improved the mobile market, but instead being corrupted by monetization, it's just another tale of shitty video game practices. If you're looking for a free ARPG experience, try looking into Path of Exile instead.
A scion of perfection in mind, body, and grace. The crowning glory of our civilization, offering us hope, offering us light. But you gave us only murder and darkness. May Rayclast embrace you as we cannot, for your very presence has become too painful to bear.